Good morning, everyone. Shavua Tov, Haga Tavach. We're learning Mishnah's Erevin, Perikut, chapter 10, Mishnah Yud Aleph. Previous Mishnah, we discussed a bolt that had a knob at the end. And the question is, could you lock a door with that on Shabbos? So, jab it into the wall or into the threshold. And we came at the end, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, who we follow, is that it's permissible to use that. A regular bolt you wouldn't be able to use, but one with the knob at the end, meaning that it could be used as a utensil, and to use a regular utensil to bolt in a door, you are allowed to do. So the bolt with the knob at the end, because it could be used as a utensil, is also permissible. Our Mishnah is going to be discussing where the bolt does not have a knob at the end. It's a regular bolt. And the case of the Mishnah is the following. Negar hanigrar, a bolt that is dragging. It means that this bolt is tied to the door or to the wall, whatever it is, and the rope is long enough, or maybe call it too long, that instead of the bolt dangling, it's actually laying on the ground, either part of it completely. That's the case. And the question is, can you use that bolt? Negar hanigrar, the bolt that is dragging, noyalam boy b'mikdash. You can use it to lock a door in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Holy Temple. Avaloi Medina, but you can't use it. Medina means in the country. That means outside of the Beis HaMikdash. Anywhere outside of the Beis HaMikdash, you cannot use it to bolt the door shut. Vahamunach, a bolt that is just lying on the ground. It's not dragging, it's lying on the ground. It's not connected to the door, just lying on the ground. Kan v'kan aser. Here, meaning in the Beis HaMikdash, v'kan, and here outside the Beis HaMikdash, aser is forbidden. So what's going on here is this. According to this Tana, according to this opinion of this part of the Mishnah, a bolt that is not connected to the door, were you to insert it into the door, into the wall, or into the threshold, that'll be an act of bona, an act of building according to Torah law. Would be the malacha, the forbidden act according to the Torah of bona, of building. When you take a bolt and you set it into the wall or into the threshold, that's called adding to the structure. Now, you may ask, but this is clearly temporary. That's the whole point. I use it to lock the door. If I want the door open, I take it out. So it's temporary. Nonetheless, according to this opinion in the Mishnah, even if it's temporary, it is an act of baina. It's an act of building. It's a Torah prohibition. That's why the Mishnah says, Bahamunach, that which is lying on the ground. That means it's not connected to the door in any way. Either place, Beis HaMikdash, outside Beis HaMikdash, is forbidden. If it's a Torah prohibition, it's forbidden everywhere. But we find that when it comes to rabbinic prohibitions on Shabbos, that many of them were suspended in the Beis HaMikdash. And therefore, when we get to meaning the sages never decreed that it should apply in the Beis HaMikdash. So when we're dealing with the bolt that's tied to the door, once it's tied to the door, whether it's dangling or not, it's part of the door. It's connected there before Shabbos. It's designated to be there. It's considered part of the building. So when you stick it in, you're not adding anything more. It was already part of the building. The problem is that if it's dragging in a way that either it's all lying on the ground or part is lying on the ground, this opinion of the Mishnah is concerned that people, when you're picking it up, you're going to land up you have to pick it up off the ground. People may not realize that it's connected to the door, and they're going to think you're taking a loose bolt and adding it to the wall and putting it into the wall into the threshold, and you're doing a Torah prohibition of building. Because of that, we don't want people to think that you're doing something wrong. The sages said you can't do it if it's dragging on the ground. Because since you're picking it off the ground, people may think that you're actually taking a loose bolt and sticking it in. But if it's dangling, if it's connected to the wall, but it's dangling, so it's clear that it's connected to the door. So once it's connected to the door, there's no Torah prohibition of bona, of building. It's dangling, it's clear to people that it is connected to the door, and therefore it's permissible, then it'll be 100% permissible no matter where. That's the first opinion of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says, Hamunach muter b'mikdash. If it's lying on the ground, it's permissible only in the Beis HaMikdash. V'anigrar, and if it's dragging, meaning it's connected to the door, but it's dragging on the ground or the floor, Medina, you could even do it outside of the Beis HaMikdash. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the prohibition when the bolt is not connected to the door, and you're sticking it in, there is no Torah prohibition of bona there. There's no Torah prohibition of building because it's temporary. It's not there permanent. It's meant to go in and go out. If that's what it's meant to do, that's not called adding to the structure. It's not an act of bona according to the Torah. No Torah desecration there. there is the rabbinic prohibition. It's considered resembling building, sticking it in like that, sticking in a bolt. That resembles building. So it's rabbinically prohibited. If it's rabbinically prohibited, then by Mikdash in the Beis HaMikdash is permissible, because in the Beis HaMikdash, they didn't apply their rabbinic decrees. Outside of the Beis HaMikdash, the rabbinic decree would apply. Taking a bolt and sticking it into the door resembles building. But once it's already connected to the door, once it's already connected to the building, it doesn't look anymore like building. And the fact that if it's dragging on the ground, people may think it's actually picking it off the ground and sticking it in, meaning maybe you should make a rabbinic decree that you can't take it off the ground and put it in because it'll look like building, which is itself a rabbinic decree. That Rabbi Yehuda says we don't do. We don't make a decree to a decree. That's the general rule. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says, if putting the loose bolt is only rabbinic prohibition, then once it's connected, it's not similar to bone. It's not similar to building anymore because it's connected. It's like a door on a hinge. It's connected. It's part already. There's no problem even looking like building. And therefore, even if it's dragging on the ground, it's not a problem of any kind of looking like building. And if you want to say that people might then, and to be concerned that people might think that since it's on the ground, that it's loose, and therefore it looks like you're transgressing a rabbinic prohibition, that Yehuda was not concerned about. And therefore he said, even if it's dragging, as long as it is connected to the wall, to the door, it's going to be permissible to set it to jam in on Shabbos. Have a wonderful day and a good Tavach. Shavua Tov. All the best.